What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, just welcome. My name is Gemma Jade, but today we are going to be discussing frightening encounters with aquatic humanoids. As many of you know, I am not the most knowledgeable person when it comes to cryptozoology. Cryptids and the like are a totally new interest to me. But I've been researching quite a bit, as my fave research has kind of inadvertently led me down some strange and unexpected paths. My Glimmerman or translucent humanoid encounter was no different either. I feel like, especially with being the resident fairy expert in the YouTube community, or so I like to think, I focus a lot on the missing in the woods in our national parks and forests all around the world. I wanted to branch out just a little bit and figured, well, if I'm going to be researching UFOs, which absolutely have terrified me my entire life, then why not go even further and look into the land of the sea, if that makes sense. Things like this just always fascinate me because it seems like most people just can't grasp the knowledge that we're not alone here. The universe doesn't belong to the human race. For all of you skeptics in the comments that are bound to be listening to this, just know I always say it when I'm covering something like this. If at the end of the video your mind isn't even a little changed, then at the very least, I sincerely hope you were entertained, and thank you for keeping an open mind and checking this out anyways. A former United States Army specialist and military policeman says this is what he encountered while working for this job in 1968. He refers to himself only as David and said he had been on patrol at Fort Baker, California in Marin County when he encountered something truly frightening. He said that he and his patrol partner at the time were not far from the main installation and only about 20 feet from the water's edge of San Francisco Bay. At some point during their lonely patrol, they noticed fleeting movement off in the dark and slowed the vehicle to see what it was, thinking it must be some kind of trespasser. This assumption turned out to be entirely accurate, only they were expecting a human intruder. They got the surprise and fright of their lives when they finally were able to see the intruder up close and personal. David stated, quote, "When I applied the brakes, it lit that thing up, and it was a humanoid form. The only way I can describe it is if you saw the movie The Creature from the Black Lagoon. It was very, very close to that. Very close. The head was a little bit smaller, but the overall form of it was very close to that creature. And it came out of the water and it stood on the road. And when I put the brakes on, I could see it clearly. And my partner turned around and he saw it. It was a humanoid form, but what I could make out of the detail of it, it looked like it wasn't flesh. I could look at it. It kind of looked like, well, it looked like some kind of lizard skin or something like that. That's what it looked like. But it was a little smoother than that. The color of it was a kind of greenish brown, dark greenish brown, and it had broad shoulders, so it looked very healthy. It looked very strong and healthy because it was so tall. I would guess that it was about 9 feet. It's kind of hard to judge, but definitely not under 7 feet. I'd say it was about 9 feet tall. And as we looked at it, the creature stood there for maybe 5 seconds or at most 10 seconds, and then it took off. I could see it just run, but it ran not back into the water, but towards the cliff that was there. There was a sheer cliff there that it ran up against and disappeared. We were both a little shaken, to be honest with you. So my partner, we both saw this thing and we saw it run into the cliff. There's nothing but a cliff there. I can't imagine anybody being able to climb that cliff. It was just a wall, end quote. So what was it that these men actually encountered? Was it a reptilian who for the moment wasn't overtaking a human and therefore in its natural state and form? This was the first impression that I got. I've never seen the movie The Creature from the Black Lagoon. However, I have seen pictures of the creature. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Our next encounter took place right around the same time period in the same era, and I didn't find it coincidental at all that this creature was also witnessed by military personnel. What are these things doing lurking around and possibly living all over our military bases? I've come since to find out that this isn't uncommon all throughout the world. There are constant alleged sightings of weird beings and creatures, aquatic and otherwise, roaming around our world's military bases. For some reason, this fact scares me almost more than what these witnesses are reporting to be encountering. In 1969, someone known only as a military man who was stationed in the Caribbean in Antigua, and on this evening, he and some friends had gone down to night fish at a place called Marmora Bay. The sun was just beginning to set when they reached their destination. They weren't alone on the beach, but they didn't think much of it. This place wasn't known for being quiet and secluded by any means. However, after a little while, as the sun went down completely and darkness took over, the men noticed something strange about the other group of people who were there at the bay that night. This other group of people were reportedly now circling their bonfire and chanting. They were described as, quote, seeming to be engaged in some kind of ritual, end quote. The witnesses also noticed that these other people were sacrificing live chickens, and this is just the beginning of things starting to get weird. All of a sudden and seemingly out of nowhere, something was approaching. Some sort of beast-looking thing was coming out of the moonlit waves, thrashing against the beach where they all stood. These worshippers weren't that far away from them, obviously, if they could see all of this going on. By now, though, the men were much more focused on what seemed to be stirring in and possibly coming out of the water. The man who reported the incident stated, quote, "We suddenly saw someone or something come out of the water. We were speechless. It wasn't a skin diver. It was a person, but a lot taller. Standing over 6 feet tall, he walked slowly and surely toward the men in the circle," end quote. So this alleged beast was being described as a kind of humanoid as far as its general shape, but had a more angular shaped and somewhat tapered looking head. The hands and feet were webbed together, and it had a row of what seemed to be bones protruding from its severely arched back. The skin was scaly like a reptile's. This reptilian approached the people in the circle, who were the ones who had obviously called upon it, and one of them walked right up to it, holding one of the just slaughtered and sacrificed chicken's blood in a bowl, and handed it to this thing as a kind of offering, or that's at least what it looked like. I mean, imagine the horror of watching this happen and unfold right before your very eyes. I can't even imagine it. It would be absolutely horrific for me. As all of this is happening too, it seems that none of these worshippers or this beast-like creature even noticed the military men who it appeared had chosen the wrong place and the wrong time to go night fishing. The creature took the bowl from the person's hands, drank from it, and after it finished the contents, it turned and stalked back into the ocean and disappeared. So it drank this bowl of chicken blood and ran off. The men all took off as fast as they could without running because they didn't want to be the next ones who were going to be sacrificed. They didn't slow down or even look back until they made it back to their barracks. Would they have been sacrificed next had they made their presence known? Were these people who were calling upon this thing even aware of their presence? What the hell was going on here in the first place? What was this thing that crawled out of the ocean to drink some sacrificial chicken blood? I'm not sure I even want to know the answers to these questions. It's all too much, even for me. This is one of the main reasons I stayed away from cryptid research in the first place. I mean, when it comes to the dead and spirit, I'm your girl. But this stuff, the ritualistic calling upon terrifying ocean beasts we've never even heard about before, I reiterate, it's way too much for me to wrap my head around. And I don't want to, even if it was something I could possibly understand. Maybe someday. We're talking about aquatic humanoids in this particular video, so it doesn't seem too far of a reach that many of the encounters which have been reported take place on a beach somewhere. Our next encounter is no exception. The next one comes from a female I will call Jessie. As you know, I don't like to use people's real names. It happened on a beach in Brittany, France as recently as 2012. This was reported on a popular forum for things such as these to be reported upon. Jessie claims that she and her boyfriend were on a vacation here and decided to go to a place called El Jagra, which is only accessible by ferry. The couple were looking forward to some privacy and maybe even a little bit of romance. It was a full moon and the couple were strolling down the beach together hand in hand and just enjoying each other's company. The beach was bathed in moonlight and it was beautiful and peaceful until something very strange caught their eyes. Jessie reported, quote, "So we were standing on a cliff facing the sea when suddenly straight ahead of us we saw a human-shaped figure get out of the water and hurry across the beach. I know, it's nothing scary so far, except the figure was pitch black, contrasting with the clear sand and was not reflecting any light like a dark shadow. It's weird because remember the moon was shining. We first thought it was someone skinny dipping. The problem is when you're going out of the sea, you first swim to the edge of the sea, then you stand up and walk out of the water. This figure gradually went out, at all the time standing tall, as if it were walking on the bottom of the ocean. Moreover, my boyfriend and I had been looking at the water for a while and never noticed anyone swimming, as if it was totally immersed for at least 10 minutes. At the sight of that, I felt particularly uncomfortable, not to say really freaked out. So was my boyfriend, who's not easily scared. The weirdest part is once the human-shaped figure got out of the water, it headed straight ahead to the foot of the cliff where we were standing, but it wasn't walking or running. It was sliding on the sand, like really fast. A pitch black human shape with indistinguishable face and features, sliding fast AF on the sand, almost gliding, not moving its legs or anything, leaving no trail or footsteps behind. We stared at it silently until it got a few meters away from the foot of the cliff. Then, without talking, we decided to get the F out of Dodge, still with this feeling of dread and fear. We never saw or heard of this creature again, and nothing strange happened during the rest of our vacation. My boyfriend, however, has witnessed strange things on the island before, but nothing that's related to this story, end of quote. This is not a singular account of some creature like this being seen in the ocean. Much of the time, it's people passing by in boats and ships who report seeing these things as well. In 1994, another user on this popular forum said he was in a small rowboat with an outdoor motor with a friend and a brother in the state of Illinois in the United States. They were rowing along some kind of shipping canal. They were rowing north towards Lake Michigan when they saw something utterly bizarre and quite unreal. The witness reported, quote, "On the east shore, about 4 feet above the water, I spotted a bright pink person, totally naked. I have perfect vision, and this creepy short human is crouched over and dangling what I thought was a really overblown case of skinny sunburned hand, pointing with an appropriately skinny index finger into the water in a swirling whirlpool or flushing motion. I locked eyes. I took inventory of it, missing its sex, although it was naked. It had no hair, and it looked like it was starved with no fat at all on its body. It was bright, but not to the point that it gave off anything but a pink color. It was all pink, and its eyes were dark. It was about 300 feet away. When we locked eyes, I was already screaming to the others to look. They were slow to act. It calmly dove arms first into the river and never resurfaced. I was in a state of terror. What was it? Was it getting something? Why was it so calm? I was trying to get the above details out of my mouth. My friend and my brother totally believed me to the point where they said, 'Turn around and let's get out of here.' We hauled the boat out of the water and into my grandpa's pickup truck. I literally peeled out on the rock, scared to death of this 36 inches-ish in dove from the squatting position like a calm bullfrog thing." End of quote. That was a little weirdly written, so sorry if it was a bit confusing. A similarly strange report comes from the site Phantoms and Monsters and tells of a sighting by a group of fishermen aboard a trawler in the Caspian Sea territorial waters of Azerbaijan in 2005. The crew said they noticed something swimming out in the water, keeping pace with their vessel. At first, they thought it was just a school of fish until a humanoid head with spines or hair poking out emerged from the water and arms tipped by webbed hands became visible. The aquatic humanoid kept pace with the trawler for some time before diving down into the depths, never to be seen again. Interestingly enough, many reports of a similar creature come from Iran at this time as well, where the creature was called the Runasha, which means master of waters and rivers. In all of the reports, the being is described as having webbed hands and feet, sharp nails, pale yellowish gray skin, bristle-like green hairs or spines, an oversized lipless mouth, lack of discernible ears, and large black eyes. It's obvious that people on boats in general, and especially those who spend a lot of time aboard them, have sightings like these all the time, or so it seems. However, I think of the divers. Can you even imagine what unspeakable horrors divers have come across in the deepest depths of our oceans, lakes, and rivers? What about those that haven't even been reported yet? It blows my mind to even think about how vast the knowledge of what we don't know and haven't yet discovered is. Our last encounter comes from the book Great Southern Mysteries by E. Randall Floyd and concerns a professional scuba diver named Robert Forster. In 1988, Robert Forster was driving near the coast of Florida when he allegedly noticed some strange disturbance in the water in his peripheral vision. When he turned to see what it was, he saw a figure dashing through the water that had been rendered murky and foggy through the stirring up of sediments. Whatever it was appeared to be undulating somewhat toward him. When it got to within 20 yards, the diver noticed that the thing had arm-like appendages that seemed to be tipped in talons and were reaching out toward him. As it drew closer still, Forster claimed that he could see that its top half had smooth skin, unmistakable breasts, and a head of flowing hair, while the bottom half was covered in scales. Whatever it was did not seem friendly, and the frightened diver would say of its gaze, quote, "I've never seen such evil hate in the eyes of any human or animal before," end quote. He was able to make it to the surface and aboard his vessel without further incident. This, to me, sounds like a mermaid. I cover them a tiny bit in my book, Missing the Fae Theory, because I do believe they are a type of fae. Disagree with me if you want. I have some research to back it up, but I am still researching, and my thoughts and opinions and theories are always evolving. But it sounds like mermaid, merperson, right? Guys, I could go on and on with these aquatic humanoid encounters, and most likely I will be continuing my research into this. I've been drawn to the ocean for as long as I can remember, and I know I have some kind of strong connection either with it or with something in it. I'll keep you all posted and share whatever I come across. Remember, if you have any encounters with the supernatural and or paranormal, aquatic or otherwise, and you want it to be a part of my listener encounter series, please email me at GemmaJadeParanormal@gmail.com. Give me some time to get back to you and give me some time to put your encounter into a video. Please be sure and give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, if you found it interesting, if you enjoyed hanging out with me, if you just want to help me out. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you are subscribed, be sure that the notification bell is turned on. Spread the love by sharing this video. We got to spread the word, guys, so people become more knowledgeable and know about these things when they're out there in the water, in the woods. You know, knowledge is power. If you'd be so kind as to check out the description box, you will find a link to my Wednesday night live stream on my channel right here, where I do live oracle readings from 7:15 p.m. Eastern time till around 11:30 p.m. Eastern time, where I pull one oracle card and give you a weekly reading for free if you just come into the chat and hang out and ask for one. Your name will be in a list, and while you wait, you can chit chat. We have so much fun. It's a really great time every Wednesday night. I also do Friday night Campfire Stories and Sunday night Fireside Chat over on Missing Persons and Mysteries, where I am head writer with Steve Stockton. Okay, and that's on Friday nights from 7:15 to like 8:30, and Sunday nights from like 7:15 to 8:30 as well. I don't have links for those right now, but when I do, I mean, guys, just come and check it out. It's a really fun time. Also, I'll leave my interview with Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio from October 7th, where I talk about my book, Missing the Fae Theory, all things fae, all things fairy, and even Robot Granny. It was a really great time. If you didn't catch it now. Starting on December 11th, myself and Big Willie Townsend and one other person, soon to be announced, will be hosting our own paranormal radio show on KPNL and streaming on YouTube on Spaced Out Radio every Saturday and Sunday night from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to talk paranormal current events. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited. I'm so nervous. I could really use your guys' support. If you go on over and subscribe to Spaced Out Radio over there with Dave Scott and everyone else who's totally amazing, you'll get the updates for it. Not that I won't keep you guys updated. If you haven't purchased my book yet and want to go ahead and do that, the links for the paperback and Kindle versions on Amazon will be in the description box. But if you want a signed copy, email me first before you purchase it. Links for PayPal, Patreon, and Amazon wishlist in the description box as well. Updates on hashtag Justice for Caleb Smith coming soon, as his mother, April Arrington, finally gave us the go-ahead to let you guys know all of the amazing things that have been going on in that case. Be kind to each other, guys. It doesn't cost anything, but be kind to yourselves as well. Don't be kind to people who are unkind to you. Just get them out of your life. Smile at a stranger. Always go in grace. Have your best day. Have your best night. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Mwah. Bye.